What's up, it's Wills, and on this episode of the Miata build, we're going to be giving my interior a quick refresh. First, we're going to be replacing this old gnarly wood grain steering wheel. The horn button on it is super faded, the wood is chipping, and is cracking in a few spots. I'll also be replacing the quick release, since I feel like the neochrome finish doesn't really flow with the peanut butter interior. So here's my new setup. I got a 330mm personal Grinta steering wheel, a black NRG quick release from a previous project, and a 1-inch NRG hub spacer. The NRG spacer is pretty nice quality. It has multiple wheel pattern options. Definitely seems better quality than most of the spacers I've been seeing online. So I got it bolted on. Then connected the horn wires and quick release base. For the steering wheel, I got new bolts from Momo and bolted it down. For the horn button, I plugged in the power, and for the ground, I wrapped it around the spring retaining clip, which should ground it. Then I noticed there was some resistance when actuating the quick release, so I lubed it up with some lube I usually use for heim joints. And I really like the way the black and gold quick release flows with the black and brown interior. Also, the red stitching on the steering wheel matches the Ebrake cover, which ties the two together nicely. Next up, I gotta change out this old Grady shift knob. It tends to get cold in the winter and hot in the summer. It's also just way too small for my hand, and it's pretty scratched up. So I'm replacing it with this OEM NC Miata shift knob. It's super comfortable in the hand with its textured leather and soft padding, and it's a bit taller, so it's closer to the steering wheel. Overall, I really like the feel. Not sure if I'm sold on the looks, but to me it's much better than the shift knob that was on there. Then I looked at my HVAC panel, and man, was it looking old and crusty. So let's get the center console off. We're going to take the shift knob back off. There's 2 screws on each side, 1 in the cup holder and 2 in the storage. Get those off. Then disconnect the window switches and ambient light. So I already had my vents removed, but here's how you can do it. Vents are held in with 2 clips on each side. You'll need to get a hook pick and then get it into one of these holes, and then you'll want to hook it in towards the center upper half of the tombstone, then give it a good tug and it'll pop right out. There's other methods, but this is what worked best for me. Once those are out, remove the 2 screws behind the vents and the screw near the shifter. Disconnect the hazard and pop a light switch, and the tombstone is free. The HVAC panel is held on by 4 screws, and the knobs are held on by tiny little screws. First, get the knobs off by taking off the little screws. Be very careful not to lose these because they're hard to replace. Then take off the 4 screws and pop out the fan selector switch. The panel has 3 clips on the bottom and the top holding it on. You'll have to remove the radio to get to the bottom clips. Couldn't get all the clips to unclip, so I ended up just yanking it off since I was replacing it anyways. Next, we got to transfer over the light diffuser onto the new fan panel. Went ahead and scraped off the old glue using a plastic razor and some Goo Gone. Then I measured the position of the light diffuser onto the new panel and cut off the backing. Then we just go ahead and stick the diffuser on, and it's ready to install. I went ahead and gave the dash a quick detail. and got the new panels on. And put the radio back. Lastly, I went ahead and gave these knobs a fresh coat of paint. Next, I'll be replacing the stock eyeball vents with some Jeep Gladiator vents. You can see that the eyeball vents never fully close, so there's constantly airflow coming through them, which can be annoying. And they also tend to droop over time and no longer hold their position. The Jeep vents, on the other hand, are able to fully close, and you can position them to direct air exactly where you want. To install them, we'll need to modify them slightly. They're a bit bigger than the tombstone holes, so I sanded off the arrows and sanded on the edge where the two pieces of the vent connect. This gives it just enough room to fit into the tombstone. The stock clips hold the vent very securely once they're in. I also added some foam so that they would seal better to the vent tubes and the dash. So I got back on the tombstone. Don't forget to reconnect your hazards and pop-up light switch. Then I got the vents and just pushed them in slowly. It's a tight fit, so take your time.
A reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself.
Be careful not to push them in too much, or else the vents can't rotate and get jammed. For the side vents, there's no modification needed to make them fit. Next up, I'm getting rid of this Ebrake handle. I think it's from Jazz Performance. It looks pretty nice, but it always seems to get loose. So I'm going back to a stock handle. So before putting it on, I lubed with the grip and the handle with interior cleaner. It's definitely helped a little bit, but it's still super tight to get it on. Now we're going to replace this tiny aftermarket mirror with an OEM mirror. The OEM mirror is almost twice the size, plus it actually holds its position unlike this crappy aftermarket one. I think the previous owner probably got it for its vintage look, but it's really useless as a mirror. I also added a 360mm Broadway mirror on top of it for more visibility. Next, I picked up some roll bar padding and wrap, but before I install that, I'm going to test to see if I pass the broomstick test with the helmet on. I have decent clearance with the seat padding out, so I think I'll be fine to pass tech at the track. For reference, I'm 5'10", so if you're taller, this might be really close for you. Padding and wrap were from a Hard Dog M2 roll bar, but it fits the Blackbird Fabworks bar good enough. Lastly, I scored some sweet Coco Mats from Facebook. These mats are almost double the thickness of the stock mats. These mats are for an MB, but they fit well in an NA. They don't move around that much since they're pretty heavy. There's also a really thick heel pad, so I know they're gonna last a long time. Well, that's all for this episode on the Miata. I hope you enjoyed this interior transformation. I think it came out looking awesome. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And if you want to keep following the build, subscribe. Alright, catch you on the next one. Peace.